Elizabeth Annie Holmes is an American former businesswoman who was the founder and CEO of Theranos, a now-defunct health technology company. Theranos soared in valuation after the company claimed to have revolutionized blood testing by developing testing methods that could use surprisingly small volumes of blood, such as from a finger prick. By 2015, Forbes had named Holmes the youngest and wealthiest self-made female billionaire in America, on the basis of a $9 billion valuation of her company. The next year, following revelations of potential fraud about Theranos claims, Forbes had revised its published estimate of Holmes's net worth to zero, and Fortune had named her one of the world's most disappointing leaders. The decline of Theranos began in 2015, when a series of journalism and regulatory investigations revealed doubts about the company's technology claims and whether Holmes had misled investors in the government. In 2018, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission charged Theranos and Holmes with deceiving investors by massive fraud through false or exaggerated claims about the accuracy of the company's blood testing technology. Holmes settled the charges by paying a $500,000 fine, returning 18.9 million shares to the company, relinquishing her voting control of Theranos, and being barred from serving as an officer or director of a public company for 10 years. In June 2018, a federal grand jury indicted Holmes and former Theranos chief operating officer Ramesh Balwani on 9 counts of wire fraud and 2 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud for distributing blood tests with falsified results to consumers. A trial is set to begin on August 31, 2021, after being rescheduled 4 times due to the COVID-19 pandemic and her pregnancy due in July. The credibility of Theranos was attributed in part to Holmes's personal connections and ability to recruit the support of influential people including Henry Kissinger, George Shultz, James Mattis, and Betsy DeVos. Holmes was in a clandestine romantic relationship with her chief operating officer, Ramesh Balwani. After the demise of Theranos, she married hotelier Billy Evans. Holmes's career, the rise and dissolution of her company, and the subsequent fallout are the subject of a book, Bad Blood: Secrets and Lies in a Silicon Valley Startup, by the Wall Street Journal reporter John Carreiro, and an HBO documentary feature film, The Inventor, out for Blood in Silicon Valley. Elizabeth Holmes was born February 3, 1984 in Washington, D.C. Her father, Christian Rasmus Holmes IV, was a vice president at Enron, an energy company, after which he held executive positions in government agencies such as USAID, the APA, and USTDA. Her mother, Noelle Annie, worked as a congressional committee staffer. Holmes attended St. John's School in Houston. During high school, she was interested in computer programming and claims she started her first business selling C++ compilers to Chinese universities. Her parents had arranged Mandarin Chinese home tutoring, and partway through high school, Holmes began attending Stanford University's summer Mandarin program. In 2002, Holmes attended Stanford, where she studied chemical engineering and worked as a student researcher and laboratory assistant in the School of Engineering. After the end of her freshman year, Holmes worked in a laboratory at the Genome Institute of Singapore and tested for severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus through the collection of blood samples with syringes. She filed her first patent application on a wearable drug delivery patch in 2003. In March 2004, she dropped out of Stanford School of Engineering and used her tuition money as seed funding for a consumer healthcare technology company. Holmes founded the company Real Time Cures in Palo Alto, California, to democratize healthcare. Holmes described her fear of needles as a motivation and sought to perform blood tests using only small amounts of blood. When Holmes initially pitched the idea to reap vast amounts of data from a few droplets of blood derived from the tip of a finger, to her medicine professor Phyllis Gardner at Stanford, Gardner responded, "I don't think your idea is going to work," explaining it was impossible to do what Holmes was claiming could be done. Several other expert medical professors told Holmes the same thing. However, Holmes did not relent, and she succeeded in getting her advisor and dean at the School of Engineering, Channing Robertson, to back her idea. In 2003, Holmes renamed the company Theranos. Robertson became the company's first board member and introduced Holmes to venture capitalists. Holmes was an admirer of Apple founder Steve Jobs, and deliberately copied his style, frequently dressing in a black turtleneck sweater. As Jobs did, Holmes claims her mother dressed her in black turtlenecks when she was young. But an employee says she suggested copying Jobs's famous Izzy Miyake turtleneck look in